from one ear and the other ear. We call the line we have separated as much as the crown separation. Here 4. 2 horizontal from the back after separating the main section. We make a distinction in starting from the middle part of the hair. First, we will create a guide, and this will be the length of the hair, this size straight with the same system comb. First in A, I set the point from the middle point to the back. And creating a clear cut. I'm determining the length of your hair and a horizontal separation of the second guinea after cutting the first section. We have cut before by creating. I cut the length of the hair the same way by following the guide. In this technique, completely flat on the back, a hair design. We are creating, after determining the length of the hair here, the front parts of the hair, we will apply a folding process to add movement. Here is the third main part. Upstairs. I go upstairs in 3 main sections in a step-by-step way. In this third part, the guinea is the same. Following the hair point we had cut before, I continue my cutting process. As you can see, piece by piece my finger in slices, taking hair in a way. I continue to cut straight. By liking my video and subscribing to my channel, you can be informed of my new videos. Benefit from haircuts and other hairdressing services. Description of my video by reaching me from the social media addresses and by appointment. Come to my salon and cut hair and other hairdressing services. You can get from the sides after cutting the back part. Start first from the left side, then from the left side. I'm equating it with the guide on the back, friends. We create a straight cut. After cutting the back straight, I set the sides the same way. And curtain cardamom on the front. I divide the hair in half to create the design. And from the end of my eyebrow, with my comb, it's on the front by measuring. I make a triangular distinction. This triangle distinction, it is a distinction we call the purchase motif. After creating this separation, starting from a right to a left, following your cheekbones, here I will cut the first left side. I go to the right side of my customer and my tongue is my tongue. With 45-degree angles, aligning the cheekbones, in the front, I'm creating the curtain cardamom design. As you can see after the cut, I comb the hair completely and comb it forward and that your hair is cut evenly on both sides. After seeing behind the ear by measuring diagonal front vertex and towards a diagonal back, creating a cross separation from the right side of the hair. Starting, I apply the folding process. Here, my customer. I'm going to cut the right side, so I'm going to the left side. And I make a distinction to the other heart towards the back, here in 3 pieces, towards the front of the hair, because I can't fold the front parts of the hair. I scan and scan from the front. From the hair point I have determined, I cut the hair. Here we cut your hair as the first size. Here by taking the size I'll as an example, that is as a size guide. Here from the longest point of the hair. I'm scanning forward as you can see. After scanning, you see the hair point at the bottom. I guide that length and cut it. Here for combing the hair forward. The length of the back hair is not shortened, and there is no shortening on the sides. Because the longest point of the hair on the sides, I'm folding by taking a sign. Here is the structure of the hair, the length of the hair, E. Also, because I got the guide to length, folding process is a light folding process. And your hair doesn't get shorter. Here I scan my scan forward again. Second piece. So here's because I cut the hair in half, scanning the right part and the left part in the same way, cutting in the same technique. And this cut. After doing it, I thin the ends of the hair a little with file scissors, softening the ends of the hair. Here, because we usually cut it according to EE angles. Also a clear cut, sharp horse cutting technique because
It's just, well, short hair, simple. But our mission today is to really uncover the incredible precision, the step-by-step thinking that transforms a simple snip into something dynamic, comfortable, and, truly chic. We've got this detailed guide that breaks down every single separation, every angle, every single cut. It shows us how all these tiny decisions build up to create this powerful, sculpted look.
Absolutely. And what's truly captivating here is the sheer amount of intentional structured thought that goes into what just looked like a straightforward short haircut. It's so much more than just removing length. It's really about strategically creating specific shapes, controlling volume exactly where you want it, and making sure there's a natural sort of effortless flow. We're going to pull back the curtain today and explore precisely how these seemingly small, intricate decisions all come together in the final, tailored aesthetic of a modern pixie. It's almost like watching an architect design a mini sculpture, but for someone's head.
Okay, let's unpack this blueprint then. Before a single strand is even cut, our guide really emphasizes the absolute necessity of meticulously dividing the hair. First up, a profile separation. Now, for those of us trying to picture this, what exactly does a profile separation look like?
Okay, yeah. Think of it like drawing a perfect center part. This separation runs from the very top of the forehead straight back all the way down to the nape of the neck. It's your initial central plumb line, really. Establishes the exact middle point of the head, and it provides a critical reference for symmetry throughout the entire cut. Without it, you're kind of building a house without laying the foundation first. Got it. Okay. The central line. Then the guide talks about a crucial horseshoe distinction. That sounds pretty specific. What does that achieve?
The horseshoe distinction is, well, pretty much what it sounds like is a U-shaped part. It starts just above the temples, curves around the crown of the head, and then connects back down towards the ears. Functionally, what it does is divide the hair into two main sections. You've got an upper section, usually longer, that'll form the top and front of the pixie. And then there's a lower, shorter section around the back and sides. This split is fundamental. It pre-segments the canvas, you see. It lets the stylist control volume and direction in each area independently.
Right, isolating areas. Exactly. So they can be sculpted with unique intent.
And finally, rounding out these foundational sections, we have this crown separation. Where does that fit in?
Okay, the crown separation. This one extends from the highest point where a comb would naturally rest on the back of the head. Essentially, it divides that upper horseshoe section even further into front and back portions. Our guide highlights its importance specifically for creating bulk and volume right at the very top of the head.
Ah, for that list.
Precisely. So if you want that coveted lift in body in your pixie, this separation is absolutely a non-negotiable step. These three initial separations, they aren't arbitrary at all. They are the architect's blueprint, meticulously dictating exactly where volume will live, how the hair will ultimately flow. It takes the guesswork right out of it.
It really does sound like a sculptural approach right from the very beginning. So with our blueprint firmly in place, where does the stylist make that very first cut? Our guide takes us right down to the nape of the neck. That's the foundation. It mentions establishing a straight, horizontal, sharp line using a precise scissor stroke. This sounds like setting a baseline, doesn't it? Like the first pencil mark on a design.
Absolutely, yeah. That straight, sharp line at the nape is your definitive starting point. It establishes the shortest length of the entire haircut. It gives a very clean, precise base from which all the other lengths will be built. It's the anchor of the pixie, ensuring the back is perfectly even and balanced right from the get-go.
Okay, now this next step really stood out to me in the guide. immediately after making that sharp foundational line, the ends are softened using the point cutting technique.
Hmm.
Literally pointing the scissor tips into the hair. Why introduce softness right after establishing such precision? What's this hard image our source says we're trying to avoid?
This is such a critical detail. It's kind of the stylist's secret weapon against what some people call helmet hair, that blunt, severe look. A straight cut, while it's precise, can create a very hard, blocky line, especially if the hair is thick. Point cutting immediately softens that definitive length. It's not really about making the hair shorter right then, but about creating texture and movement at the very ends.
Okay.
Think of the difference between like a fence post and a nicely feathered edge. This initial softening prepares the hair for a much more natural transition as the cut moves upwards. It ensures a wearable, organic flow right from that first snip instead of a heavy, severe bottom edge.
That makes perfect sense. So we've built the foundation at the nape. Now the guide moves us upwards to the occipital region, that lovely rounded back of your head. Here, it says hair is taken in sections, combed out at a 90-degree angle to its natural exit point from the head, and then cut using the nape hair as a guide. The guide also mentions a hair folding process here. Can you maybe demystify this for us?
Sure. The 90-degree angle and that folding process, they're essential for creating internal layering and building volume, particularly in the back of the head. Imagine the hair growing out from your scalp, right? If you just cut it flat against the head, it just lies flat. Pretty simple. But by lifting it out at a 90-degree angle and cutting it there, you're actually creating shorter pieces underneath the longer ones.
Okay.
So when the hair falls back down, those shorter hairs act like internal scaffolding.
Yeah.
They push the longer hairs up and outward.
Right, giving it lift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as for the folding process, it's actually a really clever layering technique. Instead of just chopping straight across the section, you're literally folding sections of hair, holding them, and then cutting across that fold. This creates a really soft, graduated internal layer. It encourages natural volume and movement, and crucially avoids any blunt, heavy lines. It's all about building body and movement into the cut, preventing the hair from just lying flat against the head.
Okay, so we've built up the back, created that essential volume and the softer base. Now the challenge is seamlessly extending that structure around to the sides, right, at ear level, to keep that cohesive flow. Our guide instructs us to create vertical separations and to continue the cut step by step, always using the previously cut hair as a guide.
Yes, and that continuous use of a guide is absolutely paramount. It ensures that the transition from the back to the sides is perfectly seamless. It prevents any harsh lines or disconnected sections. Imagine trying to paint a mural without constantly looking back at your initial sketch, right?
Right.
The guide isn't just a static point, it's a moving reference that the stylist continually creates and refers back to. It ensures the entire cut stays balanced and precisely shaped. This consistency is just key for a professional, polished finish.
Our guide then moves to the left side of the head. It says they take a thin curtain of hair as a guide from the already cut back section, then progress with vertical slices. Is this curtain just another term for the guide you were talking about?
Precisely, yes. That thin curtain is just a more descriptive way of illustrating how the stylist takes a very precise, narrow section of the hair they've already cut in the back. This becomes the exact length and shape reference point. Then, working with vertical slices, so taking thin sections of hair vertically from the scalp, the stylist meticulously matches the new hair to that curtain guide. This ensures a perfectly integrated look, and then the same meticulous process is just applied to the right side, forming another curtain guide with vertical separations.
Okay.
It's all about building on what's already established and carrying that design principle right around the head.
All right, now we move to the crown and the top sections. This is often where the magic of a pixie really comes alive, isn't it? Where you get that dynamic, lifted look. After establishing that initial crown separation, the upper hair is combed out at a 90-degree angle according to its exit place, just like we discussed for the back. But here, our guide states they apply a folding process again, combined with something called a straight truss service with sharpening cutting technique and a dot cutting technique.
Wow, that sounds like a masterclass in texture. Can you break down those technical terms?
It does sound intense, doesn't it? This combination of techniques on the crown is absolutely where significant volume and texture are built into the pixie, creating that lift everyone wants. So we already talked about the 90-degree angle and the folding process for volume. Now, this straight truss service with sharpening cutting technique, that's a very technical term, right?
Yeah. Essentially, this refers to creating very precise, strong internal support for the hair. Often by cutting at specific angles into the strand itself. It's like building hidden scaffolding, you could say. It gives the hair its shape and bounce from within, making it naturally sit and move beautifully without loads of product.
Okay, internal structure.
Exactly. And dot cutting technique is simply another term for point cutting, which we discussed earlier. But here it's applied within these diagonal slices they're taking. This ensures the transition between the different lengths is incredibly soft and organic, rather than blunt or stepped. It's all about making the hair appear thicker, fuller, more dynamic. It allows it to be styled with movement and bounce, not just lie flat.
It sounds like a complex symphony of cuts, really. Moving to the very front now are guide details creating a vertical separation in the middle part, lifting hair upward and cutting, making sure the middle, left, and right front sections are equalized. It also notes, interestingly, that this might initially leave long sections forming on the right and left sides.
Yes, and this highlights a really crucial aspect of professional hair cutting. It's iterative. It's very rarely just one clean pass and you're done. You create an initial shape, and then you strategically go back to refine, blend, and balance everything out. The upward cutting in the front is specifically designed to create lift, and it allows for versatility and styling. Think about how you might want to wear bangs or sweep the front hair to the side. It ensures the hair doesn't just lie flat against the forehead.
Right.
And acknowledging those temporary longer sections just demonstrates a deep understanding of how the cut progresses, how all the parts will eventually integrate into a cohesive whole, creating that final seamless sculpted look.
Okay, so our deep dive then addresses those very long sections left on the sides from the previous step. The guide describes meticulously balancing these, creating vertical divisions, fitting them to the brevity of the lower part, and using point cutting again for a light folding process and equalizing lengths.
Oh,
Can we just clarify brevity of the lower part? What does that actually mean in practice?
that's an excellent question. Brevity of the lower part is it's a bit of a clunky phrase, isn't it? It probably comes from a very technical source document, maybe a translation. What it really means is fitting those longer side sections to the shorter length of the hair that's already been cut in the underlying sections, near the ears and nape.
Ah, blending down.
Exactly. So you're gradually blending the longer hair from the top down into the existing short hair around the ears and the nape area. The point cutting here, combined with that light folding process, is all about texturizing the ends. This makes sure the transition is super soft and integrated. It prevents any abrupt, harsh lines as the hair moves from longer on top to shorter on the sides.
And the guide mentions repeating this process, gradually climbing the hill, as it calls the sides of the head, using both horizontal and vertical divisions. Then, to prevent a harsh image in the front parts, point cutting is applied again, specifically in these hill parts, by zigzagging the ends of the hair. This sounds like the ultimate blending step.
It absolutely is. This detailed blending and refinement is just crucial for achieving that truly modern aspect of the pixie cut. It ensures a soft, integrated look where all parts of the haircut flow together harmoniously. The point cutting here isn't just about softening anymore. It's about texturizing the ends, which enhances the hair's natural movement and prevents that often dreaded helmet-like appearance that you can sometimes get with less refined shortcuts.
The helmet head, right.
Yeah. The zigzagging technique further breaks up any bluntness, allowing the hair to fall naturally and beautifully with a sense of airy movement. It's this meticulous detail that separates a good pixie from a truly exceptional one.
Okay, finally, after all the main cutting is done, our guide mentions a thinning treatment. This is applied to the hair ends with a file and scissor. Now, when our guide says file and scissor, what specific tools are we talking about here? It's not suggesting we use like a nail file, is it?
Huh. No, definitely not a nail file. Good clarification. When the guide says file and scissor, it's referring to specialized thinning shears. These have notched blades, you see. Or sometimes stylists might even use a razor comb. These tools are designed to remove bulk strategically and subtly. It's almost like feathering the ends rather than cutting a solid line like regular scissors. The guide explicitly states this thinning isn't haircutting in the traditional sense.
Right.
It's more of a softening process. Its purpose is to mitigate any remaining harsh image, any bluntness or heaviness that might still linger from the straight scissor strokes. And it helps ensure a more homogeneous transition of the layers, promoting that natural, airy flow we've been talking about.
So what does this all mean for the final look and feel?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, that thinning process is the ultimate refinement. It's the final polish that really elevates the haircut. It's all about creating internal movement and strategically reducing bulk, especially if someone has thicker hair, to achieve a finish that's natural, dynamic, and importantly, comfortable. It allows the layers that have been cut to truly fall into place, promoting that sought-after fluffiness and ease of styling that makes a pixie feel effortless and wearable day to day.
Making it easy to live with.
Exactly. It's about comfort and aesthetics intertwining beautifully. It ensures the cut moves with you rather than just sitting there rigidly.
Wow. What an incredible journey through precision and artistry. From that initial profile separation, the architect's first line, as you said, all the way to the final thinning process with those specialized shears, it is crystal clear that designing a modern pixie haircut is far, far more than just, a quick short snip. We've really seen how every single step, from ensuring those specific 90-degree angles to applying meticulous point cutting and folding techniques, contributes to creating a look that's short, dynamic, beautiful, and ultimately truly comfortable. Our source really emphasizes how easy such a well-constructed cut is to wash, wear, and style daily. That's a huge plus.
It really is. And this raises an important question, I think, for you, the listener. Does understanding this level of intricate detail, this hidden structure, change how you perceive what might seem like a simple haircut? It truly isn't just about the length, is it? It's about an intentional, sculpted form that offers both aesthetic appeal and profound practical comfort in daily life. It's a design that genuinely works with your hair and lifestyle.
It really does showcase the architectural thinking, doesn't it? The spatial awareness that goes into something many of us might simply take for granted when we see a great haircut walking down the street. It's like this invisible structure that creates visible magic.
Absolutely. So the next time you see a beautifully executed pixie cut, maybe take a second to consider the intricate geometry, the thoughtful stages, the deliberate techniques that went into creating it. It's a powerful testament to how even the smallest details contribute to a powerful, practical, and incredibly attractive aesthetic.
A design, our source proudly says, that offers a completely new, confident silhouette, especially perhaps for those transitioning from longer styles. It's a real statement of style and self-assurance. Thanks so much for diving deep with us today. We really hope you gained a whole new appreciation for the craft and the hidden architecture of a great haircut.
Hello, friends, today. Lightweight curtain, bangs, hair design. I will explain in detail how to do this. First, your hair is basic. I applied your distinctions. Then I cut the length of the hair. Here is your hair, E, by combing from behind while cutting the basic neck, with sharp line cutting technique by forming a straight line. In straight one cut, I cut the back part, then cutting the sides in the same way as cutting the back section. The same technique I used. E, I also applied to the E section on the left, from the hair point we cut before on the back. The guide we received. E, following on the sides. I cut them all the same size. After cutting the left side, I go to the right side. Right side in two pieces in one step, by taking one pinch from the hair point I cut before. The pinch over there is my guide, because one previous EA hair point, I cut it that size. Since it will be a guide of that size, I will cut it to the same size. I follow my guide, and we cut all the hair the same length. Our customer's E model E hair length. I apply one cut straight to medium size, starting from the front of the hair. First curtain on the front parts, and other parts of the light folded. We apply a moving haircut design. There will be no very busy floors. Front part, folding when making curtain cardamom from the finishing line of the eyebrow. E to the front part. I create a triangle one distinction by creating a purchase pattern from the end of the eyebrows to form the EE triangle in the front. By creating create a full triangle pattern. I apply folding process starting from the front part, while cutting the E section on the right. I'm going to the left. For me to capture an angle of 45 degrees more comfortably, I'm going to my customer's left, and from the left side E hair with a 45 lira combing angle. Beautiful. 1. I start the curtain frame design by folding. First I cut the right side. While cutting the right side, I pass to the left side of my customer. Here E. Diagonal to the back to create folding to the back, creating a cross distinction. hair on the front. Scanning here, guinea cross with one scan style. Combing the hair to one single one point. Hereby creating a sharpening cutting technique, and this is in the front while scanning a certain point. I guide the first pinch we cut. After seeing the guide size here, as you can see, with a net one cutting stroke, that is, with the sharpening cutting technique, I cut and comb the hair on the front. Because I scanned at only one point, and when I scan the front, the back sides are long. Front sides get one fold view. Her hair is too dense here, without folding in the length of the hair. By preserving, that is, folding the front parts of the hair, for the rear sides to provide one view without shortening. The front of the hair to a single point, that is, we cut it one ago. Curtain cardamom, with hair length. And by applying scanning the front to a single point. I created one cutting process. And here the back parts of the hair are long, the front parts are folded. There are also flaws in the back, but there are not very dense flaws. After cutting the right side, I go to the left side. The same technique, I apply it on the left side too. So my customer. I pass to the right side of our customer while cutting the left side. And, while creating curtain bangs, comb the hair towards a certain point, and here I cut by applying one angle of 45 degrees. After providing this again, towards the back diagonal from the peak, so cross by creating one cross distinction up to the neck. This distinction we created, scanning to the front. After scanning, I scan to a certain point. I'm applying a 45 lira angle again, and the curtain I cut before one, cardamom hair neck. Taking the guide so that paint. I'm scanning in one convenient way. I see my guide, and I do cutting with one scissor stroke. Then two, I take the piece 2 guinea. I scan it towards the same front part. And here I comb the hair towards a single point. Hair, cut point. I take it as a guide. I scan and see your shortness there. And I cut the hair. I'm cutting it to a certain point here. For scanning and creating an angle of 45 grooves from above. Fold it towards the back because I cut it from the top, and longer one view of the back side, and shortening the length of the hair, obstructing and movable fronts folded. A long look at the back we get. If you want to get a haircut like this, my channel, a video section. You can watch our other videos, so if you want to get a haircut, social media addresses are available in the description section of my video. Reaching here, you can come to my salon and get haircutting service from me, or places in Istanbul, Beylikdüzü. Hope to see you. We will be with you with new videos. Take good care of yourself. Hello friends, today you have a straight haircut. Curtain bangs, aka cartoon banks. Haircut. How to design it, I will explain it in detail. We create the first basic distinctions. We will divide the hair into 4 main sections. Our distinction to the first main section is profile separation. Profile separation 2. To the distinction we have separated from the eyebrow mark to the neck. We call it straight profile separation. Later crown separation. Crown separation from ear level to other ear. The straight separation we have separated. We call the crown distinction. When we create these distinctions, we divide the hair into 4 main sections. First part, I will apply straight haircut. Hair in the first part. I create one horizontal distinction from the nape part, and determine the size we will cut. We will apply the first basic distinction, is straight haircut. From the back part. I created a horizontal distinction, and I cut the basis of the hair Chi. Right now I created a straight 1E cut here. This straight cut, then gradually upwards, creating horizontal separations. Her hair is the same size in the section where I cut it straight. I will cut, that is, the hair point we cut before as a sheath. I saw it and I cut it straight with one scissor stroke. And after equalizing that part in the same way, I'm opening the other part too. As you can see, the top. At the bottom, I combine it with the guide we cut and cut it to the same size. As you can see here, with sharpening cutting technique, that is, straight truss service. I'm creating a straight one cut. Then from behind, the long remaining part is horizontal again, one in a gradual way, by creating a distinction. I keep cutting. That is one straight line by scanning the back part backwards. Clear one cut by forming line. I'm doing it so my hair's on the back. I specify for free and create one straight cut. The right and left are the same. Scanning backwards. I'm creating a straight one cut. We have determined the basis of the hair, that is, the length of the hair. Now I'm going to part 2. After determining the length of the hair, I will apply a folding process and curtain cardamom on the front, that is, curtain bank haircut. I created a profile separation between the middle and 2 to create the hair. From 2 eyebrows, we created one distinction towards the neck, this profile distinction, and from the end of the eyebrow E, starting to the front, my B, but just motif. I reserved the section, guys. From here in the first place, right side, I go to the left side of my customer because I cut it and the chin. I'm setting E one guide from the line. E, and from here to be mobile in the front, that is, the story. From the jaw level to stop the longest, set the shortest section. Create across one distinction. In D, I created a cut at an angle of 45 degrees. Then behind the ear, E, I created one diagonal distinction. Front of the hair, the same way you see guinea. I continue from the right part, like this part. It's like 45 degrees with the hair point I cut before. I will apply angle folding process. I scan as you can see. I lifted our customer's height slightly and his head slightly up, and the sheath from the hair point I passed before. See, and at an angle of 45 degrees, I applied the cutting process because I cut the hair in half here, starting from the top of the other back, creating one horizontal distinction. I'm creating a new cross E1, as you can see. I'm combing with the lowest hair length I've cut before. With the longest part, I set my guide and create horizontal separations gradually, combing the hair forward and following the guidance we have set. I'm applying a folding process. Here, combing the hair forward, your hair again the way I combed it here. Crossway E, I'm scanning friends. So, to the cover we have determined on the front. So in a way, suitable for hair length. Did you drink the cut with a straight scissor blow again? Because I scanned the front here, their backs stay longer and E stays behind longer. Unfolding process when we leave it towards the back. So it's layered and it's layered. Both your hair is not gone. Here I cut the first eye step, then I cut the second piece. Guinea is also on the left. I created a purchase motif from the end line of the eyebrow to the peak. I'm scanning it diagonally again. And shortness, so I'm setting my guide. What size your hair will be at the level of your chin. I sharpened one direction and crossed one way. So diagonal 1 angle with one cut angle of 45 degrees. I will cut Yes, I see my guide and I scanned it diagonally. I'm cutting my client's left side late, this time, but on the right side of my client. I'm cutting by finding friends. Then from the peak E, one cross to the back of the ear. I created one diagonal distinction and one from the hair point I cut before. Cross again, seeing my guide one. Cutting at an angle of 45 degrees with a scanning angle. Folding process. I'm creating. Here we ensure that the front parts are folded, friends. I saw my sword here, I cut it the same size. Cross the front parts to the back parts. This is the point I have reserved, friends. Now create horizontal separations. In a gradual way up to the neck. Combing forward, I will apply my cutting process. This process is hair folding. As you can see here, cross one scan angle. I created it, and from the nape part to the front part. Yes, the longest part. I take it as a guide and continue my cutting process. As you can see, I'm scanning guinea. I create horizontal Bs gradually. I'm combing the hair point I cut before. I see my guide. What does the guide mean? One means the hair size we cut before. I'm scanning the previous. The hair length I cut. I cut this process to the same size after seeing it. I'm applying it until I get to the section on the nape, friends. I see my guide, as you see. And I cut the sharp horse cutting technique with straight scissors service. Friends, our haircut is over. Now your hair. E, thinning your hair 3. For applying straight scissor stroke on the ends. E, I need to thin it with some effigy scissors. I'm here with a feely scissors, the ends of the hair. Pictas technique. I soften, as you can see. So by adding some E motion to the ends of the hair, I'm thinning. Get the hard look here. You know the hard look? We eliminate it with pictage technique. Such guinea by creating horizontal separations and scanning forward. As you can see in the hair spot I cut before, I apply a thinning process, right and left in the same way, separating into pieces, into slices. I apply a thinning process. You too, curtain bangs. Curtain banks. If you want to get a haircut in Beylik Düzü, you can come to my salon and get hair cutting service from me. About coloring and other hairdressing services, I can serve. I'm working by appointment. In the description of my video of the hall, the social media address is available. Reaching here as an appointment by reaching the social media address. Haircut coloring. On the subject of hairdressing services, you can create an appointment. Like my video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, dear friends. Thanks to you, my channel is growing day by day, and we become a bigger family. And our videos. If you want to be aware of my new videos, if you activate my channel's notification bell from my new videos, you can be informed. Our haircut is over. Now it's the last for you. I will show you after blow dry. Moving, as you can see, what we call layered one hair design curtain bangs, curtain banks. Moving hair design. I have presented our work to you. Take care to see you with new videos. I wish you a good day. Hello friends, today is the curtain for you. Haircut with cardamom. How to design it, I will explain it in detail. When cutting hair, we will first create the basic distinctions. Our first basic distinction is profile separation. Profile separation. We are separated from the nose to the neck. we call straight separation profile separation. In this profile distinction, we divide the hair into two main sections. Crown separation from one ear to the other ear. We create one straight distinction. After doing this, we divide the hair into four main sections. After dividing into four main sections, step one way from the back part. We will determine the length of the hair. We will form the basis of this hair. So we will make a layered haircut after it is determined. But first, decide what size our hair will be, and according to it, we will apply one straight cut from the back. Ear comb to the sharpening cutting technique, using 6 haircut techniques. Using the comb as a ruler, we apply one straight cutting process. After creating our first cut, this becomes our foundation. So it's our guide, in accordance with this guide. Following our same size guide, and we apply straight one cutting process. We cut the first stage and we will cut the second stage in such a gradual way, using our comb as a ruler by creating horizontal separations. Create a straight one form. In this way, our hair is fuller and we will get one more voluminous image, and we determine the length of our hair. If you want to get a haircut like this, there are social media addresses in the description section of my video. Reaching here, you can come to my salon and get hair cutting service. Our hall is in Istanbul Beylikdüzü. Hair cutting service and other hairdressing services. If you make an appointment in the best way, I serve. We continue our model, creating the basic distinctions of our model. First, we will make a straight cut, then after forming the straight cut, so after determining the size of the foundation, we will apply the folding process. By creating horizontal separations and scanning backwards single 1DC. I'm applying a straight one cutting process at the line, friends. Hereby applying the sharpening cutting technique, that is, we create one straight haircut with a blow. Later, this time our customers' hair, neck, head, by adapting its movement straight one, so the posture of our customer's head is also very important. When we go to the side, create a slight slope one and then hair length in accordance with the guide on the back. We continue in the same way. Right side, after cutting the left side, the right side is I apply the cutting process. After applying this process, we formed the basis of the hair. So we determined the length of the hair after determining this size. Now from the front of the hair, folding process by creating diagonal separations. We will make the distinction of hair. We are asking our customer which way to separate it from the front part. And after determining which direction you allocate it to that direction. Your hair. After determining the fall with backward diagonal separations. 45-degree angles. We create a folding process by creating, here is the front part of the end of the eyebrow E. Forehead motif. A shape, that is, creating a triangle by creating one shape in the front. We will start our curtain cardamom application process. And then that curtain is suitable for the shortness of the cardamom. We will apply a folding process, separate in the story. The part we reserved. We decided on which direction to allocate and, by passing to the end of our customer while cutting the right side. So cross at 45-degree angles, creating distinctions from Diego, our customer, in the front. From the point where the cheekbones were found, Determine the shortness and I'm folding the front part. And I continue to cut, combing your hair in the opposite direction. And 45-degree downward angles. I started my cutting process by creating and folding process on the front. I created one diagonal backwards to apply. And my customer's hair is our customer's. Folding the front part. Scan forward to create. In the short section on the front of the hair, forming angles of 45 degrees by continuing in one convenient way. I continue my folding process. As you can see here, my cover at the bottom, I see it, and in one way suitable for its shortness. I cut it the same size, and backward diagonal, creating across one distinction, and our customer, Scanning the front. How is it when I scan the front part is folded. The back part is folding too, but from the back. Prevents layered backwards longer. And both floors at the back. Both it is obvious, and from the length of the hair on the back. No shortening in any way. We are folding, but in the back, it comes in a V shape. Our model's hair, our customer's model, and we get one fold view. And the length of our customer's hair is not gone. Of course, according to its shortness, C for cutting. And he doesn't lose his E form at one. He catches one nice form. Right side. After cutting, I cut the left side with the same technique. I continue. P on the front. The left side is the same, by creating diagonal separations at an angle of 45 degrees to the cheekbones of your hair, remarkably short, the shortest point, and cross diagonal separations. I continue the haircut. My client, because I cut the left side, I go to the right side and combing the hair in the opposite direction. I'm folding. After cutting the front part, diagonal if back, slice to slice guinea by creating cross separations to the back. I'm scanning forward by creating the distinction. When I scan forward, the front is folded. Gets one view stretching backwards here. I see the hair spot I cut before. I'm applying my flush folding process. And guinea too. I'm going to the level guinea diagonal. I created one distinction as scanning forward. And I continue my cutting. You also like my video and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget, thanks to you, our channel is growing every day, and we have a large family thanks to you. Yes, after seeing the hair point guide we cut, I finished my cutting. We applied the folding process here, friends. 2. Now I apply the thinning process, as you can see here. Creating diagonal distinctions, creating cross divisions again, in parts. I soften it with the Pictus technique, with file scissors, so that the ends of the hair are more beautiful. There is one transition on the floors. You also cover the ends of the hair with this kind of technique. You can soften. I don't use razor. Feel in hair. I apply softening and thinning with scissors. So the hair, it doesn't look like it's broken. It doesn't look like it's broken. There is no excessive thinning process, and the transition is more tremendous. One beautiful look. You are this style one. You can soften the ends of the hair with the technique. I request you, don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel. If you turn on notifications, in my new videos, you will be informed of my new videos. As you can see here, the clock on the left side cut the left side, the same on the right. I'm thinning. With Pictus technique on the ends with a file scissors. I apply a thinning process. Our place is in Istanbul Beylikdüzü. If you want to get a haircut too, and the other way ombre retouch, bold hair coloring and other hairdressing services, you can make an appointment. There are social media addresses in the description section of my video. Our place is Beylikdüzü. You can easily reach. Don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel. And my channel, notify me of my new videos by opening the notification bell. Yes, our cutting is over. And I will show you the final version of our model. Front folded, backs longer. Obtained one moving image without losing its form. We will be friends. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for liking my video. Hope to see you with new videos. Take care of yourself.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're peeling back the layers on something really specific, actually. It's highly technical, maybe a bit unexpected. We're looking at the engineering, you could say, of a really masterful haircut. And we're not really talking about fashion trends here. This is more about, well, geometry, blueprints, how absolute precision can actually deliver a kind of fluidity.
That's exactly right. We've got this detailed step-by-step technical guide for really complex blended hair design. And it combines three specific things. You've got a sharp, straight base cut, then those very popular curtain bangs, the perde kako, and then finally integrating some subtle movement through layering, but very controlled layering.
Okay, so our source material sounds less like a style mag and more like, I don't know, an architect's plan. It details the exact separation lines, the cutting angles, the finishing stuff. So our mission here is basically to decode that blueprint. We want to understand how this really rigid, almost mathematical structure underneath leads to a look that, for you listening, seems completely soft, natural, and flowing. It's like the shortcut to understanding that design precision.
Yeah, you really have to see it as a project. And, well, any good project starts with a solid foundation, doesn't it?
Okay, right. Let's get into that foundation then. Before any scissors come out, the hair needs to be organized. You said the whole design is kind of dictated by just a few key separation lines. How does the guide tell us to, like, map out the head?
Well, what's really interesting here is how the manual immediately sets up perfect symmetry, and it does it using just two essential straight divisions. Think of it like setting coordinates on a map of the skull. These two lines create four perfect mirror sections, and these sections govern every single step that follows.
Okay, just two straight lines organize the whole thing. What are they?
So the first one is called the profile separation. This basically dictates the left-right balance. It's a perfectly straight line running right from the start of the forehead at the hairline straight down the middle all the way to the nape. It makes sure that whatever you do on the left side gets mirrored exactly on the right. Simple, but critical.
And the second line, I assume that defines the front and back, you know, where the different parts of the cut are going to happen.
Precisely. That's the crown separation. This one runs straight across the top of the head, connecting one ear right across the crown to the other ear. So once you've got the hair divided by both the profile and the crown separations, you've broken down all that complexity into four manageable symmetrical quadrants. It's really the proof that this haircut is first and foremost a structured design. It's pure geometry.
Right. That structure makes sense because the first big job is setting the length and the base. We need that clean, straight cut, the dusas kizimi in the back. Now, the usual problem with the straight cut, as you know, is it can look really heavy or chunky, or what stylists sometimes call mold-like. So how do you get that sharp, clean line without the hair just looking like a solid block?
Okay, so you start the back, right? And you establish the base length using horizontal sections. These are called yate ayrımlar. This is where the precision really kicks in. The source says to use a very sharp, clean technique, sometimes called a sharp cutting technique, using straight scissor cuts. The idea is to get maximum visual density, maximum sharpness, right at that bottom edge.
But hang on, that sounds exactly like the recipe for that heavy blunt look we're trying to avoid. If you cut all the hair in the back like that, won't it just fall heavily.
Ah, yes, that's the core tension, isn't it? And that's exactly why this idea of gradual cutting becomes maybe the single most important detail here. The source is really insistent that the cut must be done in gradual steps. They call it kademeli bishakilde.
So instead of taking one big chunk horizontally, you break it down into smaller bits.
You break it down, often into, say, 3 or maybe 4 really thin horizontal stages. The first thin section you cut acts as the perfect guide, the clavus, for the next thin layer of hair just above it. You're essentially building that straight line, but from the bottom up, layer by tiny layer.
Okay, wait, why? Why is that gradual way so necessary? What's the actual physics behind cutting thin sections versus thick ones?
Right. The reason is critical. It's all about controlling density and making sure it falls evenly, homogeneously.
Yeah.
If you try to cut too much hair at once, the weight and just the different tension across that thick section makes it fall unevenly. And worse, it creates what the source calls that kalupjibi effect, that heavy mold-like block that just doesn't move. By cutting in these gradual thin steps, you let the weight distribute nicely. It ensures that when the hair falls, it falls smoothly, keeps the sharp line visually, but still has some natural swing. It's about building a solid line, yeah, but respecting how hair actually behaves with weight.
That makes so much sense. That's the hidden difference, isn't it? Between an amateur straight cut and a professionally engineered one. It's all about managing weight, even when it looks like one simple line.
Exactly. So now we've got that rigid foundation set. Now we can move to the softer part, the face framing element.
This is where the curtain bangs come in. They're parade kakul. Okay, so this needs a specific shape right at the front. How is that defined?
The sectioning here is incredibly precise. You isolate the hair for the bangs using a triangular shape, ushin formunda 1 irum. That triangle starts right at the middle part, and it extends back towards that crown separation line we made earlier. But here's the crucial bit. The width of that triangle, where it starts at the front, must begin precisely at the start of the eyebrows. Kashin and bashnukdasandan.
Why exactly at the start of the eyebrows? What does that do?
That specific width makes sure the bangs frame the eyes and the cheekbones just right. Too narrow and the bangs look kind of weak. Too wide and they just take over the face. Okay, so once you've got that triangle isolated, the goal is to cut a line that creates a soft guide. It should align roughly with the cheekbones, maybe the tip of the nose. And you get this by cutting the hair at a 45-degree angle. That angle is key for the curve. Kavisli olması gerekiyor.
Right, the 45-degree angle. That's the classic for getting that soft, sweeping curve. But the manual mentions something surprising about how the stylist needs to stand. Body positioning.
Ah, yes. This is the kind of detail that makes this source so interesting. It's super practical. To hit that 45-degree angle comfortably and precisely and do it the same way every time, the stylist actually has to stand on the opposite side of the client.
The opposite side? That sounds completely backwards. Why would you do that?
It's purely about body mechanics. Think about it. If you're standing on the same side as the hair you're cutting, your arm and body are twisted, right? It's physically awkward to hold a perfect 45-degree angle and keep the tension steady. But if you step to the opposite side, like you're cutting the client's right bang, but you stand on their left, it creates a much more natural straight line for your cutting arm. It gives you maximum control, maximum accuracy over that crucial angle. It's almost like a physical requirement for technical perfection.
Wow. That really does make it sound more like sculpting than just cutting. The stylist's own body becomes part of the architecture. Okay, so we've got our sharp, straight base and our softly defined curtain bangs. The next challenge then is blending it all, adding movement, layering katlandirma, but without losing the length we just carefully established.
Yes, this step is absolutely key to bridging that gap between the sharp base and the soft fringe. The layering has to be light, and like you said, it must preserve that baseline length. The technique here relies entirely on how you lift the projection.
Okay, how is the hair projected or lifted for this kind of layering? Not out, not down.
No, exactly. Instead, the hair is combed straight upwards, towards the ceiling, all of it. And the guide, the kalavuz that you use for this layering, is actually the shortest point that was created way back when we did the initial straight base cut at the nape.
Okay, let me picture this. If you pull a strand of hair from the very bottom of the nape, straight up over the top of the head, the hair closest to the scalp is now your guide, but the very ends of that strand, the bit that defines the actual length, are way up high, far from the scissors.
Exactly. You're using physics, really. Tension and angles. When you comb the hair straight up and cut it against that short guide from the nape, you're only trimming the very ends of the hair that actually reach that high point. This technique is called a fixed design line, in the source. By pulling everything straight up to that one fixed point, you guarantee that the lower sections of the length, the boy, remain long and basically untouched. Only the upper bits get lightly layered.
So the aim isn't really dramatic, obvious layers. It's more about just enough internal movement so the hair doesn't just hang there flat.
Precisely. And because it is a light layering process, hafifwan katlandama ishlami, the final shape of the hair isn't some drastic V or U shape in the back. It's designed so that when it falls naturally, it creates more of an oval shape, an oval bigaran too. It's about integrating internal volume and movement really seamlessly with the overall length.
Okay, so we've used the sharp straight cut, the careful 45-degree angle, and now this upward projection for the fixed design line. The main structural work seems done. But let's go back to that base cut for a second. We talked about its sharpness. That precision cutting, doesn't it inherently leave a really hard, maybe too clean edge? The final step must be about softening that up, right?
That is the absolutely critical final step,
Yeah.
yes. If we stopped right now, the hair would have that sharp line, maybe a hard look. A keskin one hat and a cert one gurntui. We definitely need to introduce softness, some texture, some naturalness, especially on the ends. This is the texturizing phase. Or inseltme, which means thinning.
Okay, texturizing. How does the technical guide suggest doing this final softening step?
It actually details a combination of 3 different methods, and crucially, they're applied only to the ends, not halfway up the hair shaft. They suggest using FL scissors, thinning shears, efilam akasila, also the twisting technique, burgu teknikidile, where you twist sections and snip into them, and point cutting, pikdash teknikle. These tools and techniques are all designed to break up those blunt lines we created, but without actually removing length.
Right. But thinning, if it's done badly, can be one of the most obvious mistakes, can't it?
Yeah.
You can sometimes see those horrible track marks or lines where the bulk was taken out.
Huh.
How does the guide make sure the thinning is, well, invisible?
This is probably one of the most advanced, subtle insights in the whole guide, I think. To prevent those telltale track marks, so it is Yatmamasana saliorum, the stylist is specifically told to use zert asiler, that means different, opposing angles during the texturizing.
Opposing angles. What does that actually look like? How do you do that?
Well, think about it. If you just thin the hair using one consistent angle, like always cutting straight in, you're essentially creating a hidden straight line of shorter hair within the bulk. That's what shows. By approaching the hair from different angles, maybe one snip vertically, the next one horizontally, maybe the next diagonally into the twist, you make sure that the removal of weight is scattered, it's distributed invisibly through the ends. This variation in angle creates a much more staggered, diffused finish. You get that soft, natural look without leaving any harsh lines behind. It's the final technical touch to soften the rigidity we spent so much time building.
Wow. This has been quite the journey, a real masterclass in seeing hair design as basically applied physics and geometry. We started with just 2 straight lines, the profile and the crown to map the head. Then we moved through that gradual straight cut to control the weight, the opposite side 45-degree stance for the perfect curtain bang, then the upward projection using the fixed design line for invisible layers, and finally, this multi-angle texturizing to soften the whole thing.
And we've seen how this blended design can actually be really versatile. It works for fine hair, thick hair, long, medium, precisely because every single step is controlled by this kind of geometric calculation. The result is a structure that's adaptable. It's not just stiff.
It really is amazing how much meticulous planning, how much structure goes into creating a look that is ultimately supposed to appear just effortlessly natural. So if we step back from all the details of this deep dive, that's the final, maybe provocative thought we should leave our listener with as they think about this blueprint.
I think the real paradox we've uncovered is kind of the heart of the whole design. This really beautiful, soft, flowing aesthetic, the kind that looks like maybe the client just woke up with perfect, natural hair. It's entirely dependent on the rigidity of the structure underneath it all. The whole process hinges on these meticulously planned geometric sections. Those profile and crown divisions, the precise triangular fringe, the fixed design line, the perfect 45-degree angles. If you compromise that underlying structure at any point, you actually compromise the final movement and softness. So in a way, the rigidity creates the fluidity. Maybe think about that the next time you see a hairstyle that looks completely effortless. Chances are it took an incredible amount of hidden structure, maybe even some math to get there. Okay, so if you've ever tried cutting hair, maybe your own, maybe someone else's, or even just watched a stylist, you know that feeling, right? Trying to get that perfectly straight line.
Oh, yeah. That geometric precision. It's tougher than it looks.
Way tougher. We're not talking look straight enough. We mean like laser level straight. So today, we're diving into some source material that honestly flips the script on how you achieve this.
It really does.
It's not about fancy scissors or some kind of, innate freehand talent. This is, well, it's almost mechanical, industrial even.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Our source is basically this really detailed video transcript and instructional guide on how to get that impeccable line using just a standard shaver or clipper.
Right, the kind you might think are just for fades or buzz cuts.
Exactly. And our mission here is to really unpack this specific method. What's fascinating, I think, is how it shifts the focus. It's less about the stylist's feel for it and more about setting up this rigid engineered system. Using physical constraints to guarantee that straight line, almost taking the human variable out of it.
And that tells you immediately, if you're listening, that most of the work, the real work, happens way before any cutting starts.
Absolutely. This whole method hinges on like two key things. Very specific prep work to get rid of any variables in the hair itself, and then this unique two-part system to hold the hair completely still.
Yeah. They essentially turn the hair from something flowing into, well, like you said, almost like a block of wood you can measure and cut precisely.
Okay, so let's break down that foundation first. The prep. Because, as the source makes clear, if you mess this up, forget it.
Right.
It's non-negotiable. The guide is emphatic. The hair must be blow-dried perfectly straight and smooth first. They use this term, doomdoos purusus, which means...
It's more than just straight. It implies, like, flawlessly sleek, utterly smooth, zero waves, zero frizz, perfectly uniform.
Okay, but why? Why is that so critical? Couldn't you just, comb it really straight right before you cut? That's a great question. And it gets right to the physics of hair, really. If there's even a tiny bit of wave or texture left, when you release that hair from the comb after the cut, it's going to spring back, even a little bit. And poof, there goes your perfect line.
Okay.
The blow dry forces every strand into its final resting state before you cut. You're basically standardized in the material, eliminating all those little variables like shrinkage or natural movement.
Got it. Preparing the canvas, essentially. But it's not just the hair, is it? The source also talks about how the client sits.
Yes, exactly. Client posture. Before any cutting happens, they ask the client to tilt their head forward slightly. Hafif oneeshimesini istiorus is the phrase used, just a subtle lean forward.
And why that specific positioning?
Well, it's all about controlling the geometry again. Think about cutting fabric draped over something round, like a shoulder.
Okay.
Naturally get a curve, right? So by leaning the head forward, the hair hangs away from the curve of the neck and back slightly. It creates a flatter plane to cut against gravity.
Okay, I think I see.
Then, when the client sits up straight again, that perfectly straight line hangs correctly, draping nicely across their back. It's anticipating how gravity will affect the hair in its final position.
So we've standardized the hair, that perfect blow dry. We've standardized the cutting plane, the forward lean. Now the next big problem is movement.
Right. Any tiny shift, hair's moving side to side, it ruins the line. And this is where the real kind of aha moment of this whole technique comes in, I think. This is the core innovation, the dual cone lock.
Yeah.
This is it. This is where it gets really clever and very mechanical. The absolute goal is immobilization, total lockdown.
Because usually when a straight cut goes wrong.
Yeah, it's because the hair slips or scatters or the tension isn't even as you cut across.
Yeah.
This dual comb thing tackles that head on.
So how does it work? What are they actually doing with these combs?
It's literally like making a hair sandwich. You need two combs, just standard combs. One goes underneath the section of hair you're about to cut, pressing up. And the other comb goes right on top, pressing down. Bir tarak alta, bir tarak justa, top and bottom.
And they're not just resting there, you're saying they're actively pressing the hair.
Actively compressing it. The source uses the term sasha kitliorus, which means we lock the hair.
Locking it, okay.
And the whole point of this compression is to stop the hair scattering or shifting sideways while you cut. Sasansola oinamasana and jelly check, preventing it moving right or left.
Okay, hold on. Here's my question then. If you squeeze the hair that tight between two hard combs, won't that tension make the hair spring up unevenly when you take the combs away? Aren't you just creating a different kind of problem?
That's a really sharp observation, and yet it's a potential issue you have to consider. If the hair was very fine, maybe, or the pressure wasn't totally even,
Right.
you could get some recoil. But remember that super straight blow dry, the doom dus pure sus. That minimizes how much the hair can even stretch vertically in the first place. So the main job of this lock isn't really about vertical tension. It's almost entirely about lateral stability, stopping sideways escape. Think of the combs creating, like a rigid channel.
A jig in woodworking or something.
Exactly. They're less worried about a tiny, uniform vertical stretch and much more worried about hair slipping out the sides as the clipper comes along.
So the lock basically forces the hair section to act like one solid unit. No slipping, no scattering. The compression gives it the rigidity needed for the cut. Precisely. And then, holding those combs tightly locked together, they pull the whole thing down to where the cut needs to happen. And the instruction here is critical. The combs must be held perfectly straight and flat. Dus bir şekilde tutuyoruz?
So the straightness of the final cut depends entirely on how straight you hold those two combs.
Yes. The combs become the template, the absolute guide. They are the ruler.
Which brings us to the cutting part. And this is where it gets really unconventional because the guide is so solid, so locked in.
Right. They don't need traditional shears, which always have some element of, human hand movement or swing. Instead, they use a standard shaver, a clipper.
Yeah, a clipper, the Turish Machinesi, which is kind of brilliant because it's a machine designed for consistent mechanical motion.
But they don't just buzz across it, right? There's a specific way they hold it.
Very specific. The angle is key. The source is they bring the clipper to a 0-degree angle.
0 degrees? That sounds weird. Normally with clippers, you lay the flat part against the comb or the head, don't you?
You do, for like a buzz cut. But here, 0 degrees means you're only using the very, very tip, the cutting edge of the blade, and utroegetirip, just the end point.
Why just the tip?
Well, think about it. If you press the whole flat part of the clipper blade against that comb guide,
Yeah.
there's more surface area, more chance for vibration, and maybe pushing the comb slightly, even micro movements. By using just that 0-degree tip, it's minimal contact, maximum precision.
It's like using the very point of a craft knife against a ruler, not the whole flat side of the blade.
Perfect analogy. You're treating the clipper edge like a precision instrument running along that preset track.
And that track is the bottom comb.
Exactly. The bottom comb is the cutting guide. The source explicitly says it's used like a ruler, said Vilgibi. The clipper just follows that perfectly straight, rigid edge created by the comb.
So the accuracy isn't in the stylist's hand anymore. It's built into the setup, into that comb lock.
Completely. The precision is transferred to the integrity of the locked combs. The cutting itself becomes almost automatic. So you're listening, just picture that. This flowing hair subtly compressed into a hard straight line by the combs. And then this clipper blade just zips across, using the comb edge as its guide. And the result, according to the source, is immediate and clear. After you do this, you get a perfectly straight image look.
Wow.
Then, of course, there's a quick final check, UFAC beer control, just to make sure every strand was caught and cut cleanly by the guide. But essentially, the job's done, mechanically straight.
Okay, so let's wrap this up for the listener. Let's distill the key takeaways from this really technical deep dive. We started looking for that perfect straight line.
Yeah. And we found this blueprint for achieving it through mechanics, really, not just art. So the key things for you to remember are, 1, the prep is everything. That perfect blow dry, the client's posture standardizing first. 2, the absolute core idea is that dual comb locking system, turning flowing hair into a rigid block to stop any sideways movement.
Right, the lateral stability.
And 3, using the clipper completely differently. Not freehand, but as a precision tool guided by that comb ruler, using just the 0-degree tip.
And I think what this really shows us, stepping back, is that anytime you're chasing technical perfection with something inherently variable like hair or maybe even other things,
Sure.
mastery often comes down to obsessing over the setup, controlling the conditions, stabilizing everything, eliminating the variables before the main event. The actual cut, in this case, becomes almost inevitable if the prep is perfect.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it leaves us with a final thought, maybe a provocative one for you to chew on, building on how rigorous this whole process is.
Given how many steps there are, the specific blow dry, the posture tweak, the physics of the comb lock, that precise clipper angle just to get one perfectly straight line, what does that tell us about how incredibly challenging it must be to achieve even basic geometric precision in hands-on human services like styling?
It implies that what looks simple, or maybe even effortless,
Right.
often has this incredibly complex, tightly controlled process hidden underneath. Perfection isn't luck, it's engineered.
A lot of hidden labor behind that perfect result.
Definitely food for thought. Well, thanks for exploring the geometry of the perfect haircut with us today.
Yeah, this was fascinating. We look forward to diving into the next set of sources with you all. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're kind of giving you a shortcut, a real professional one.
Yeah, not just vague ideas.
Exactly. We're looking at the really precise technical steps, how professionals actually execute a super popular cut right now.
The layered cut, the Katla Saskasimi, combined with curtain bangs. Perdikaku.
Right, those curtain bangs everyone wants.
Right.
And our sources lay out, like, the exact choreography.
It really is choreography, like geometry almost.
Mhm.
You know, the difference between a great cut and one that just doesn't work. It's all in that hidden structure.
Okay, so let's get into that structure, that blueprint. The first steps are super specific about, like, landmarks on the head. First step is profile eye remote.
Profile separation, yeah.
For someone not in the know, what does that actually establish?
So think of it as the prime meridian of the head. It's that clean line, straight down the middle, forehead right back to the nape.
Okay.
Splits everything, basically, left and right. Your first big division.
Makes sense. Simple enough start, but hair, especially thick hair, needs more than just left and right, I imagine.
Oh, definitely.
So that brings us to the second one. Tas Airuma, crown separation. Why is that one so vital?
Well, if you skip the crown separation, you lose control right at the top, the apex, and you risk things falling unevenly, weight being off. So the crown separation, you start at the forehead, comb goes tip to scalp, draw that line across to the back.
Okay.
And where that line crosses your first profile line, bam, you've got 4 clear sections, front, back, left, right. It's non-negotiable, really. It's the grid you need to manage everything else.
Got it. A 4-quadrant grid.
Yeah.
Essential. So grid's established. Now we actually start cutting, right? Establishing the length at the back, starting at the nape.
Exactly. You take horizontal sections back there.
And the sources mention one specific section is the Temelimiz Olkak, the foundation.
Precisely. That first horizontal piece, that's your template. It dictates the entire final length. Everything refers back to that.
And then the layering in the back, it's not just one big chop. It's done in stages, right? Horizontally. 3 stages, the source says.
3 stages.
Why break it down like that? Why not just, cut it all?
Well, that's to avoid what the source calls kabarma.
Kabarma.
Frizz, puffiness. Basically, the ends getting unruly and bulky.
Okay, right.
Especially with thicker hair, cutting too much at once. It compromises the clean line, makes the ends kind of balloon out.
I see.
So doing it stage by stage, using the piece below as your guide, your couleuvres, ensures it all falls smoothly, naturally. It's like you're engineering how it falls.
Controlling the weight meticulously.
Aye.
Got it. Now, there's a small detail here about, posture. For those last sections near the nape, the client tilts their head forward slightly. Is that just for comfort?
No, it's purely tactical for the stylist.
Oh.
That little tilt forward, it lets the stylist clearly see that main guideline against the neck, ensures those lowest layers are cut exactly to the length you set with that first template piece, takes out the guesswork.
Wow, okay.
Oh.
Every detail matters. So back's done, match the sides, and there's another head tilt mentioned. Cutting the right side, the client's head tilts slightly left, away from the side being cut. Seems a bit weird.
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, but this one's really about the stylist's ergonomics. It's not changing the hair angle much. It just shifts the head enough so the stylist can get in there comfortably, move easily, and be really precise on that side. Good ergonomics for the stylist means a better cut for the client, ultimately.
Right, makes sense. Okay, foundation's built, length is set. Now for the, maybe the trickiest part. Merging that structure with the softness of the curtain bangs, the perdikaku.
Yes, the transition, that's key.
How do they start creating that famous front triangle shape for the bangs?
So they section off what's called the ala motifi, the forehead or fringe motif, and it has to be a triangle.
A perfect triangle.
A perfect triangle. The shape is critical for how the bangs will frame the face and their density. It's measured really precisely from the outer edges of the eyebrows.
Okay, kaspitimlerend.
Right, up to a point at the top of the head. That specific geometry ensures the bangs fall correctly from the widest part of the face they need to frame.
And this leads straight into customizing it, doesn't it? The source mentions the client had an inverted triangle face shape, wider top, narrower chin.
Exactly. And that immediately tells the stylist how to adjust.
How so?
Well, for that face shape, to get what they call daha yumuşak garuntu, a softer look, so you can't just cut generic bangs. The layering for the bangs has to start right at the cheekbones. Elmakakimiklarindon.
Oh, okay.
That stops the top looking too heavy and visually balances the narrower chin. It's tailoring the cut to the bone structure.
So it's face framing engineered, not just guessed. And those layers, they're cut at a 45-degree angle.
Yep, 45 degrees.
But here's the bit that sounds really unusual, the chef's secret, maybe? When cutting the right side of the bangs, the stylist stands on the client's left side, the opposite side.
That's the one. Sounds awkward and probably feels a bit awkward too.
Why do that?
It's absolutely crucial for a seamless transition. It prevents the bangs looking blocky or disconnected. By standing opposite, the stylist gets a much better angle for pulling the hair across the face and cutting that 45-degree line smoothly. It ensures that short to long graduation is flawless. Cutting from the same side risks making it choppy.
Wow. So that awkward stance makes the difficult look effortless, like you said earlier, the invisible geometry.
Exactly.
Then they check it, comb it forward, make sure that short to long line is clean. Okay, section 3. This tackles a specific client request, right?
Yes, a very common one actually. The client wanted layers, but only in the front. They were adamant about keeping the back long. No length loss back there.
That sounds tricky. Layer the front, keep the back long. How do you even do that?
This is where a very clever technique comes in. The sabet tazarum chizkisi.
Fixed design line. Okay, that sounds like the key. How does it let them basically cheat length retention in the back?
Right. Think of it like setting a fixed cutting point high up. First, they part the hair diagonally towards the back. Then, they take that whole section, comb it forward, and lift it straight up, like 90 degrees to the sky.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Now, the hair coming from the back of the head is obviously way longer than the hair from the front or the crown, right?
Right.
So when the stylist cuts at that single fixed point, way up high, only the shorter hair, the hair from the front and sides, actually reaches the scissors.
Ah, because the really long hair from the back physically can't stretch that far up to the cutting point.
Precisely. It's naturally protected just by geometry and length. So you get exactly what the client wanted.
Yeah.
Layers focused on the front and sides, but the back length remains untouched. It's genius, really. Managing expectations through technique.
That is clever.
Yeah.
And then the left side is easier.
Much easier. Once that guide is set on the right, they just mirror the technique, using the cut side as the reference. Streamlines the whole thing.
Okay, structure done, length preserved, bangs defined. Now, finishing. Texturizing, softening. Section 4. Thinning shears come out the file makazi on the ends.
Yeah, softening is key after all that precise cutting. Especially with dense hair, blunt layers can look really harsh, like a solid block. The source calls it a kalibir guruntu, like it's made from a mold.
Okay, I can picture that.
So thinning shears, but only on the ends, never near the roots, just to break up that solid line, make it flow naturally.
But they mention avoiding marks, right? Those telltale tracks thinning shears can leave. Is yamasuna engelio. There's a special technique involving twisting.
Yes, the anti-mark technique. So they take vertical sections, top down to the nape, but instead of just snipping straight, the stylist twists the hair section around the comb, burgu yapiorum, they say, creates a twist.
Okay.
That twist changes the angle of the individual hairs being cut. So when the thinning shears close, it's not cutting straight across a block of hair. It diffuses the cut, makes the thinning totally invisible. Seamless blending.
Wow, blending without leaving fingerprints, essentially.
Pretty much. And they also use the piquetage technique, which is like point cutting or piquage right on the very tips, sometimes with the thinning shears, sometimes maybe regular shears, depends on the hair's weight. Just takes off that last bit of harshness.
That whole process, that dance between the super rigid structure and the final soft touches must take incredible focus.
It absolutely does.
And then the final step is the blow dry, the phone ishlami. Inward blow dry, it says, to really show off the layers and the shape of the curtain bangs.
Exactly. That final styling reveals the movement and the form you've spent all that time creating. And, as a little bonus detail, the stylist also did the color.
Oh, yeah.
And yosun koyu kumral, intense dark ash brown, which, provides a great canvas to actually see the precision of the layers.
Definitely. So looking back at everything we've covered, it really is this intricate technical choreography, isn't it?
Completely.
From the initial 4-quadrant grid to tiny head tilts for the stylist's access.
Right.
Standing on the opposite side for that perfect 35-degree bang angle.
Yep, that crucial step.
And then using that clever fixed design line to keep the back long while layering the front.
It all connects. The main takeaway for you, listening, is that the beautiful, soft, finished look you see It's entirely built on these hidden, super precise, sometimes awkward-looking maneuvers. The stylist is basically an architect working with hair, balancing physics and aesthetics.
It really makes you appreciate what goes into a high quality haircut. We see the end result, but like you said, it's all that hidden geometry and skill making the hard stuff look easy.
That's the mark of real mastery, isn't it?
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. We just saw how a great haircut depends on hidden geometry and specific technical tricks. What other everyday things that you pay for, maybe getting clothes tailored or even watching a barista make your coffee, might rely on complex hidden techniques we just never think about?
Definitely something to ponder.
Agreed. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the architecture of hair. We'll catch you next time.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty fascinating, I think. We're diving into this very detailed source about what it calls a triple combination haircut.
Right?
And the mission, really, is to figure out how stylists manage to blend three, quite different styles, a sharp, straight base, those really popular curtain bangs, and then soft layers all into one, seamless look.
It's a real technical dance, isn't it? And for you listening, the idea isn't just memorizing steps. It's about getting the why. Why that angle? Why that section?
Yeah, exactly.
We're basically looking at the roadmap, the specific geometry that turns these style ideas into something, well, real and structured.
Okay, let's jump right in then, because it seems like the whole thing kicks off not with cutting hair, but with setting up the head first. It talks about creating 4 mirror sections. What's that initial setup? Is it like mapping coordinates?
That's a great way to put it, actually. Yes, it's pure geometry, all about symmetry and control. Use 2 man partings. Think longitude and latitude on a map. First, there's the profile parting. That's your longitude, running straight from the forehead center all the way down the back to the nape.
Forehead to nape, got it.
Then you have the crown parting. That's your latitude line, ear to ear, straight across the top of the head.
Ah.
And where those two lines cross, boom, you've divided the head into 4 neat, balanced sections. These are your guides for everything that follows.
Love the map analogy. So maps down. Phase 1, the straight foundation, establishing the kind of the anchor length, starts in the back.
Precisely. You take horizontal sections there in the back, and that very first section you cut, usually the lowest one, that becomes your main guideline.
The reference point.
Exactly. The reference point for the length the client wants. And you can't really change that base length later once you start layering, so that first cut is, well, it's pretty critical.
And the source is specific about how you cut this. It calls for the blunt cutting technique. Why so specific? Why not something, I don't know, softer?
Good question. You need that structural integrity for the base, that perfect straight line. A blunt cut, just straight, clean scissor strokes gives you that.
Okay.
If you tried, say, an angled cut or texturizing here, you'd weaken that foundation. And the movement we add later, it wouldn't sit right. It might look sort of